Hello, welcome back to the sideboard one last time here at the StarCityGames.com Team Open in Cincinnati. Part of the SCG Tour brought to you by Ultimate Guard and Okie Dokie Dice. I'm Nick Miller alongside our now champions, Freddie Crespo, Joe Ambrosio, Chris Miner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got to talk about Modern first because that's kind of the big name of the game last week. Everyone was on Phoenix. You came to bat with Tron, Joe, and it's a deck that we saw show up and do well against Tron last weekend in all the events. You said you were 7-1 against it on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to beat Tron, or if you want to beat Phoenix, this is where you want to be, I have to imagine.
Yeah, it's still rough. It's still favorable. But normally you just want to Tron and just do Tron things. But in Phoenix, you actually still have to do thinking once you get Tron. Just a little more difficult, but.
Right, and a lot of people are thinking about these decks that can beat Phoenix but aren't quite as good against the field. Your deck, still very good against the field as well.
Yes, good against everything. It also does help to have two teammates to back me up when I do mess up. But yeah, I didn't have very much challenge outside of like normal matchups.
Now in that game 3, when you keep your hand, you know, all the pressure is on that match. You have Tron clearly there, but no real payoff as of yet. So
That's right.
Are you sweating anything there?
I did have an Ancient Stirrings to hopefully find me one, and I hope I had time to get there. But I did have the Graph Digger's Cage just to stave off the Phoenixes early on. So I'm glad that all those cantrips got me something.
Freddie, you of course brought mono red. The two mono red decks in day 2 met in the finals, so it's kind of fitting there. You know, that match was like an hour ago at this point.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, it was a while ago.
How do you like your deck on the weekend?
I love mono red. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a pretty aggro player. I play mono red pretty often, to be honest. Qualified for Pro Tour mono red. You know, just gave my buddy a good 75, and he qualified for the Pro Tour recently with it. So I think it's really well positioned right now in the meta. You have white weenie everywhere. People audibling to green white tokens. You have, so between Chain Whirlers and Cannonades, kind of where I want to be at. Its worst matchup is Esper. I think Esper's a real solid deck, but it's also 3 colors and can kind of stumble along the way as well. I think everybody was on the hype train for Sultai, and I just really think that deck is not as good as everybody thinks it is. It's, you know, for such a strong hold on the meta for so long, especially in the Pro Tour, and for no top 8s and not to really see it very often make any impact except, you know, on live tournaments, except maybe online. I think those numbers kind of they have to say something pretty loud. So, and even in that matchup, I just feel like you know, if you know what you're doing and you can just, you know, definitely take care of Training Wheels, which is Wild Growth Walker. You know, as long as you can finesse that, it's pretty easy peasy. How
do you feel about your list? Because you had the Fiery Cannonades and all that stuff to kind of go big or go long in certain matchups, and risk factor as well. Any changes or any recommendations, or do you like what you got?
I like what I got, but I will say there are times where I go a little bit, you know, faster with. We had came up with a list previously, me and Joe, with Flame of Kelds and risk factors, 3 Flame of Kelds, and then maxing out on risk factor. I really like that plan as well, to be honest. It's a little bit faster, and it also can do more damage. I feel like it's just really about the meta, right? Like whatever you think you're going to see, you just kind of try to change it up. You know, I like Frenzy as well. I'm just not as high on it with Mortify in the format, and you know, if I think I'm going to see a million Vivian Reeds, you know, tapping out to play Frenzy on 4, and then Vivian Reed coming down and just saying no, it's just like a wasted turn, and that's kind of not where I want to be at. Yeah. So, you know, I just felt for this tournament and what I thought people were going to be on, a nice even 2-2 split, and then just, you know, kind of change from my board from there on would hopefully get me there, and that my teammates can do the rest.
Right, and Chris, you know, you brought 4-color loam. This is a deck that I think is just criminally undervalued in the Legacy format. It took down at Open last year.
We agreed.
You know, with the rise of Izzet Delver, you know, a couple weekends ago in Syracuse, it looks like these D&T / you know, 4-color loam decks are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you can play Chalice of the Void on turn 1 is, I think, what makes that deck fantastic, and then also the fact that neither Reliquary, I think, is one of the best creatures in Legacy, but it's the fact that the deck can do pretty much whatever it wants because it has access to pretty much every single color but blue, and so has the ability to beat all the fair decks while also being able to hold off a lot of the combo decks or a lot of the Delver decks with a lot of lock pieces. The only downside of the deck is I feel that the mana base is somewhat inconsistent, especially if you don't get your Mox Diamonds in early, and that can actually cost you a lot of games.
Right, and what about the Depths deck? Because that's the other kind of big player right now.
The Golgari Depths deck? For the most part, I think the deck is fine. The ability to, I guess, turn 1 or turn 2 a Marriott Lodge against somebody who's not running Swords to Plowshares or something like that, just the game just ends immediately. But if you're prepared for that deck, then I don't really think it's that big of a problem.
Right, I was going to say, how do you feel with your deck against?
Oh, with my deck?
Yeah.
75% on winning.
So you would say 4-color loam's a pretty great spot to be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We got to see some cool ones like Marchesa come out. That was nice. Any other, tools you're gonna play in that deck or mess around with?
Johnny Vengeance, baby.
Yeah, I mean Johnny Vengeance. I mean, pretty much the only like flex spots in the board are like the Planeswalkers. So a lot of times you can either decide to play like Garruk Relentless if there's a lot more aggro in the meta and you want to be able to just make tokens. Sometimes people like to run Toxic Deluge as like an additional sweeper. So at the same time, and then I guess there are times where I kind of want to cut a Cindervines for a choke, just if Miracles is like really, really big, but Cindervines is already just incredibly strong against so many different decks in the format.
All right, well this was a long tournament. You guys had to grind this one out for sure. You're the champions now. Any final shout outs or anything you want to say about the event?
I'll let him start.
Boom, boom, firepower!
I actually have another team back in Charleston, but I came with these two knuckleheads and we made it happen. They had my back, I had theirs, so.
I definitely want to say a couple shout outs to our teammates back home. Like, we have a pretty solid playtest group that we've really put together in Charleston and also in Brooklyn, back home where I'm from. And also for me, special shout out to my daughter and my girlfriend. They are the most amazing support for me, and without them, I wouldn't even be back playing. I just came back a year ago, not even, so to be on the Pro Tour and then win this now, it's definitely between them and great friends. Life's really good right now.
Great friends, great family. That's the name of the game. Magic Championships are also pretty nice. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to send it back over to Matthias and Emma to close it out here in Cincinnati.